What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XRP today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And we are going to talk about the charts. We're going to get into the charts and do some price analysis, of course. But before we do, I want to address something that I've been talking about today, which is more of a theory for other coins. A very valid theory, I think. And it's not conclusive for XRP, but we have more reason to believe it than we do with most coins. And that is the fact that we don't have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We have a crypto strategic reserve. And the going story around the space, and we've all heard it by now, is that Brad Garlinghouse is in the ear of Trump's administration trying to get XRP into this crypto reserve too, right? And I think, first and foremost, I think that it's bullish. I think the whole space, everybody except for the XRP army, is looking at this as if it's some kind of negative thing. We're not getting a Bitcoin reserve. Now we're getting a crypto reserve. But man, I think the more cryptos that we validate as legitimate not currencies, but projects, assets, property, whatever you want to call it, the more cryptos that get validated, the better it is for the space as a whole. And Brad Garlinghouse buttering the palms, greasing the palms of the elected officials to try and get XRP into the strategic reserve. He's only doing right by you guys, by the people who are investing into the coins. So the rest of the space can be upset about it. They can spin it as a negative thing all they want, but the reality is it's actually a really positive thing. And it opens the door. Garlinghouse inadvertently opened the door for other cryptos to be into this crypto reserve as well. So that's phenomenal. But absolutely, the narrative that it's going to be XRP and Bitcoin, it's there for a reason. We don't know if XRP will be in the crypto reserve. It's not solidified. We don't know that for sure, but probably, right? It probably does. And with that going forward here, I want that to be a consideration, right? Because XRP, it's validated itself a lot. With the SEC lawsuit, it didn't technically win it. It was found, Ripple was found guilty of things, but they were also found innocent of things. It was a draw, right? It was a straight draw with the SEC. But that's basically as good as winning, right? They're the only company to do that. And then once they started fighting the SEC, that gave other cryptos a leg to stand on, a platform to stand on, like, hey, we can actually do this. We can actually combat them. They're not just this unbeatable bully that's always right and we're always going to lose and just lose our asses and go to jail if we even try. XRP did a lot for crypto, man. It really has done a lot for crypto. And here we are, Garlinghouse trying to get a crypto reserve instead of a Bitcoin reserve going. At least that's the narrative. And people are complaining about that, man. XRP, you guys, here's the deal. What's just crazy. If you think about the history of crypto, whether you believe XRP will be here in 10 years, 100 years, whether it's alive now and like a bright star, it dies young, regardless, it plays a dramatically large role in the history of crypto. If not for XRP, guys, I don't know if we would be as progressive in the world of regulation in the world as we are. Like it really has helped put crypto on the map and opened doors. It literally has. If XRP didn't exist, we would have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but then we wouldn't have other cryptos. And you know what I mean? There's a whole lot that XRP is doing for crypto, and it's going underappreciated, and it's good whenever a coin is doing things, whenever a coin has reasons to be bullish and people aren't looking at it as bullish, right? You're at $2.52 now. Let's talk about where I think you're going to go by the end of this cycle, right? Because we've done this stuff, we've talked about this day in and day out. We moved down a little bit, yeah. You're moving up now. You had your low this week of $1.78. You're back at $2.52. We all know that the price is going higher. My expectations before we get to the end of the cycle stuff, which I promise we're going to get into right now. I know I'm going back and forth here. My expectation is whenever we break out of this, you'll likely see XRP at prices that are anywhere from at least like $6.40 to as high as $11, $12. Probably mid-March is what I'm thinking, if not by the end of February. But early March, mid-March is kind of the time frame I'm working with now. And we could be higher. It could happen faster, but I'm thinking $6.40 to $12. It's a big range, but that's the range I'm giving you by the end of February, if not likely the first couple weeks of March there, okay? Talking about the all-time highs now. A lot of people laugh at the idea, or they did laugh at the idea that XRP would see new all-time highs until we got to here. It makes all the sense in the world that if you've consolidated for 2 cycles in a row and you have this immaculate breakout with this point here, it makes all the sense in the world that you would not stop at your first target, okay? You would likely stop at least at your second target, if not higher, okay? But even then, I don't think you stop here, right? So what's that leave us with? That leaves us with $27. And we're going to make sense out of $27, we're also going to make sense out of targets as high as $67 and anything and everything in between. Because you're not just working off of that fib from a high to a low, you're also working off of this fib from a high to a low, right here, high to low there. And that fib here comes with a little bit of a different set of rules. Your primary target zone is here. When you get to 641, by the way, which I think you will be by the end of February, if not first 2 weeks of March, you get above there, it opens up access to the secondary zone, which is the 1886 to the 2618, and there lies your $43 targets. Sometimes in very bullish conditions, which we might be in right now with XRP, I don't know, it seems pretty bullish to me, you do break through the 2618 and you actually see the 3113 to the 2886, which lines up very well with this zone as well. So I know it sounds crazy to even say this, and maybe I'm talking to the wrong crowd. I know the XRP army is totally fine with moon boy predictions, but I feel kind of crazy saying it. But I think $100 XRP might be something that we should consider as a possibility. Certainly, I think a $13 XRP is inevitable by the end of the cycle. $27 to me seems like a very reasonable minimum target to have. 43, a nice reasonable kind of in between. But then we start getting to 72 to $100. Things are getting a little bit weird, or at least they seem weird. But let's see if we can make sense out of that beyond just the fibs, beyond just wanting the price to go there, right? We can make sense out of it because XRP, whether people like it or not, is affiliated and does have a lot of partnerships and what's the word I want to look for? I guess partnerships, building with a lot of banks and financial institutional infrastructure in the world, right? It's one of the most progressive cryptos in that kind of form, okay? What was I just gonna say, man? I'm sorry, guys. It's late here, and that's not an excuse. But beyond that, it's also the next likely crypto besides Bitcoin to get into this crypto strategic reserve. Everybody's talking about XRP, and they're normally talking about it in a negative light with this. But for the XRP army, that's a good thing. You want it to be in the crypto reserve. You want it to not just be a Bitcoin reserve. That'll validate this thing even more. And beyond that, if you have one government buying you, you're likely going to have other governments buying you as well. Okay. I want to look at the market cap and just see what that would mean, what that would imply for the market cap. Okay. So if we're at $145 billion now. $145 billion now. If we were to go, let's say, all the way up to $100, which I'm not totally sure that we will, but let's at least try to make sense out of it. What would that look like, okay? What would it look like? Is it even possible? It sounds crazy, but is it even possible? A 40x. It'd be a 40x. 40x from $145 billion. That would be it'd basically be $4.5 trillion, which I'm not saying is impossible to achieve, but that would be a lot. That'd be a lot of growth, and you would achieve that $4 trillion market cap way faster than Bitcoin did. Now, of course, by the time you're at $4 trillion, Bitcoin would be worth tens of trillions of dollars, if not at least $10 trillion, right? But to see that kind of price, I don't know. You know, I accept it as a possibility only because of the crypto reserve possibility, right? But if we compare this to Bitcoin, XRP, BTC, in order to get to where was I? In order to get to 40x, that would be essentially about $4.5 trillion market cap. It'd basically be, if Bitcoin's at $500,000 by the end of the cycle, I think Bitcoin will see 500,000, if not more, by the end of the cycle. If Bitcoin's at 500,000, then that would make XRP 50%. No, not 50% in price. It'd be 50% in market cap. Okay, I have less of a problem with that now. Okay, cool. That was my issue. I'm like, I don't think you're going to see this get to 50%, but of course, that's the price, not the market cap. My bad. Okay, so if that last part distracted you or confused you at all, don't worry about it. Just ignore it, okay? Let's look at this chart here. This is XRP versus Bitcoin, okay? If we look at this high here to the low, yes. if we saw some kind of standard retracement, I think we could expect to see XRP going to the golden ratio, if not all the way up to the 786, 886. My money would personally be on the 786. A lot of cryptos like their 786. They've been interacting with it recently. If we go back, right, if you look at that 786, it was basically right there, right here at previous areas of resistance here, just above these previous areas of resistance as well, right? It's in that area. So let's say it doesn't even hit the 786. Let's just go back to this high here, somewhere at the lowest end of this kind of price shelf. If you were to break out of this horizontal box, I would think you go to the top zone at least of that, let's call it a price shelf. Okay, so or at least versus Bitcoin. That would put you at roughly 40927 of a Bitcoin. Google calculator. I've been doing this on a few videos tonight, but I think it's good. It's useful to do, and to get it on each one. That way we have an accurate assumption of which price to achieve. Right? It's the same method that I've made on a few videos tonight, but I think it's a good thing to do here. So 40927.1234 927 or 9. I think I said 927. That would be its price versus Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's worth $500,000. That's a $46 price, you guys. Okay. I very strongly do believe that XRP will see these prices. Okay. Now, by the way, if Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin will go to 500,000 by the end of the cycle, but I've seen some things recently that suggest that it really could see prices as high as $1 million by the end of the cycle. If Bitcoin goes to $1 million, XRP going to $80, $90, it just became a whole lot more possible. It depends on Bitcoin. It really does depend on Bitcoin. How high Bitcoin can go will reflect and revolve into other cryptos as well, right? Bitcoin will sell off and pump up other cryptos. XRP, if it were to reach a $46 price, if it were to reach a $90 price, it would not exist there for long. It'd be the top. It would sell off immediately. But I think what we just did was we made any kind of price that is really like below $40 seem very unlikely to happen, because again, I'm not asking for much. I don't think I'm asking for much at all, right? All I'm asking is you break out of this horizontal range and you go to the next place of resistance, which is the current areas of resistance, and I literally took the lowest high in that range. If I wanted to paint it in the best light I could, I'd take the highest one. This is the lowest one we got, and what we got was $46, okay? Let alone if XRP versus BTC, if we're following and respecting these fibs here, if you saw this in the price, you likely wouldn't stop there. You probably would go all the way to the 786, if not up to your 886. Now, I don't suspect XRP gets above this 886 by the end of the cycle, but I suspect it could get to it, and that's at 3016. So let's do that real quick. 3016.12316 times $500,000 Bitcoin. What price would that give us? That would give you an $80 price. And if Bitcoin's above 500,000, that only goes up, right? I'm not saying that XRP versus Bitcoin will go here, but it could. It's a possibility, and I mean, if this is a horizontal range, which it is, right? This is a horizontal range right here, a horizontal trend is what they call that. The way that you would do this, there's a measured move for it. You take the low of the trend to the breakout point, which I think would be here. You put it at the top right there at the breakout point. That puts you smack dab in between the two areas that we just measured, and actually closer to the top one. I've said this before, and the first time I said it, it made me laugh, but I'm more serious about it now. I think $40 might be not bullish enough for XRP, you guys. I really do. I think, and 27, it's the golden ratio. We could totally hit that, but if not, would it not be also completely feasible that we could go to our 2618, our golden ratio, our double golden ratio, on this more relative fib from the last cycle, which we might have more relevance to right now? I certainly don't expect that we stop at the 1618. So if we break above that 2618 comes online, and absolutely higher targets than that are possible. But it's really hard to say, man, because at this rate, so far what we've done, $43 hasn't even been a minimum target, right? To get to $43 or less than anything that we've said, you'd have to see prices versus Bitcoin that are lower than this high. And I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all. You're going to gain more value versus Bitcoin by the end of the cycle, more than this, or at least to that. And again, that in itself would put XRP at a $46 price, so long as Bitcoin's at 500K. Now, the only thing to that is if Bitcoin doesn't see 500K, then we could make sense out of these $27 prices and stuff like that. But an underperformance on Bitcoin's part still leaves XRP in a 10x position, and a very strong 10x position in itself. And then, of course, I know it sounds crazy, or again, maybe I'm not talking to the right crowd whenever I say that XRP moving to $40 or $80 is crazy. Maybe you guys are expecting that in itself, but let's really rationalize this. It's the front runner. It's the next coin up to be considered for this crypto strategic reserve. And maybe that's just how it seems now. Maybe it'll be Ethereum that's announced first. Maybe it'll be Bitcoin and Ethereum at first. But I have a strong inclination that and I think we all do, XRP is going to get thrown in the mix there. It's going to get put in that pot of the crypto strategic reserves. Okay, and when that happens, I think considering anything around 20, anything less than $40, man, it doesn't make any sense at all. Right? It really doesn't make any sense at all. I have a hard time. The one thing that I have a hard time seeing $90, $70 to $90. The reason I have a hard time seeing that is because if Bitcoin goes to $500,000 by the end of the cycle, that would give XRP like half the market cap of Bitcoin. I have a hard time seeing that, man. I don't expect that personally. So the only way to kind of make sense out of this zone, to me at least, beyond just what we saw on the BTC chart, the only way to make sense out of that, to me at least, would be to see Bitcoin seeing prices that are higher than $500,000. That's the only way that I could really see that. Or maybe Bitcoin goes to 500,000, XRP goes up to these readings versus Bitcoin, but by the time it does, Bitcoin is sold off a little bit. It's sold off 20% or 30%, and that levels it out somehow. And in which case, we're missing something in that kind of logic. But something around $43 to $80. I'm going to say $80 because it's in the range. I don't want to say 99. It's there technically. It's there on multiple kind of fibs, but I'm going to say 43 to $80. Really, it should be 46 because that was the most minimum target that we could achieve, that we've got out of logical thinking with the XRP BTC chart. And maybe it's logical, maybe it's not. I don't know. I feel like it's pretty sensible that we would at least go to this high here. It just looks like it in the chart. Like if I didn't know anything about this chart at all, that it was XRP versus Bitcoin, and I saw this, that's a double bottom there. You're at the top of your zone now. You're likely going to go to the next resistance point, and the only point that's obvious would be up here. It's not biased. It's very, and that's at 301. Okay. And what I did instead was I took it down 30%. We put it at, or sorry, 10%. We put it at 409. Okay. I don't think we're being overly moon boyish in this video at all. I think that it's very conservative. And what's crazy is the conservative targets, they're at $40, man. So I don't know what else to say. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Take it easy. I'll see you on the next one.